Good morning, wonderful people. Good morning, people from all over. I'm sure probably it's very early where you are, or it's just that normal hour umeamkia, umeenda job, nini nini. Lakini karibu sana kwa this morning's edition. My name is Jake Kanja. Of course, this is Kenya News Link. Welcome to this edition, the first one here at Kenya News Link. Here we look at the newspapers and news making headlines. I'm telling you, it's interesting. It's becoming hot here in Kenya, and the conversation has not yet stopped. There are people who are happy, there are people who are sad, all in equal measures because ya ile urafiki ambayo imerejelewa between one Raila Odinga and William Ruto. What do you make of this new friendship? These were long buddies. These were buddies who kitambo walikuwa makaribu. They were very close, but now baada ya siasa kidogo kidogo, they kind of fell apart. Okay, after 2007 when they were very close, their own wakaanza kuwa na challenges, and then eventually they fell apart. One went to URP, the other one remained in ODM. They grew apart, and kidogo kidogo they are now back together. Photos have circulated online about this new friendship, and where I'm telling you, kuna Wakenya wamefurahi na kuna Wakenya wako na hasira. That's what we'll be looking at. Equally tutakuwa tunaangalia nini? Tutakuwa tunaangalia the misuse ambayo imekuwa ikitangazwa na one control of budget, and equally the accountant, the Auditor General Nancy Gadangu, who have equally come out to really expose the misuse of public funds. Those are the things we'll be looking at in this morning edition, and equally we'll dive into the newspapers. With me equally is one Mr. Alex mwenyewe na of course Mr. G wamejaja. Karibu sana kwa hii show. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Naona Laban Masiani akisema hi Jex, how are you Laban Masiani? Good year, I see you. Good morning, how are you? Nasema I love friends in need who are now indeed. Aha, fantastic. Asante sana. Karibuni kwa hii show. Tunayo show moja fiti moto kama pasi. Ni juzi unatazama ukiwa wapi, na pia maoni yako ni yapi kulingana na hii urafiki ambao umeanza kati ya Raila Odinga na William Ruto? Wengi wanalalama, wengi wana complain hapa nje wakisema ai bana we Raila Odinga huku tumekuwa tukichomea sana William Ruto, lakini sasa hii ubeshte hapana. Okay, so those are the things we'll be looking at, and we will be asking ourselves, is it good for the country? What do you make of it? Does it really benefit you? Does it change your perspective and your outlook towards William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government? Okay, those are the things we'll be looking at, and equally I'll definitely be showing you the newspapers and the news making headlines. Asante sana kwa wale ambao wana like hii video, jinsi ambavyo Patrick Lumumba na Koi Simiu wamefanya. Asante tu sana. Simon Mulumbo nasema Ruto knows Raila will not give humble time, thus he's finding a way to support him for the AUC job so that he can have peace. Alright, wewe unaona ni kwa nini William Ruto amekufanya ile kitu kwa one Raila Odinga? Those are the things we'll be looking at, and equally we'll be looking at what the newspapers, I think yesterday or the day before, described as budgeted corruption, ya kwamba pesa zinawekwa ndio kwa what do you call it, kwa budget, but the main purpose ya hii ni kubudgetia corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the things we'll be looking at, and those are the things we'll be trying to explain even in this show. We were shocked. I don't know how true that is, that the office on the renovation of the DP's home residence would cost around 600 million. The actual figure for construction, as they're saying, was around 450 million. Now, renovating it will cost a whopping 600 million, an extra 150 million more than the actual amount of constructing it. Equally, I think 1 billion has been used or will be used for the renovation of State House. Of course, the latest photos show a remarkable change in State House. So those are the things we'll be looking at, despite the challenges that the country is facing, despite the hardship that we are facing. And of course, we'll try to explain all that and see what could be causing all this misuse, and is it even necessary when this country has all the forms of challenges that we are having. All right, so karibu sana, juza wawili watatu kwa kulike hii video and equally kwa kusubscribe to Kenya News Link. Hapa ndipo, hapa ni nyumbani kwa kila content ambayo unahitaji kupata. Karibu sana wawili watatu, wakaribishe kwa kulike na zaidi ya yote kwa kusubscribe to Kenya News Link. Inao jamaa wawili wamejihami kabisa, na tunao swala moja. All right, so let's continue. Let's have a great conversation. Let me just flip kidogo the newspaper so that you're able to see what we are talking about even as we continue. The newspapers today equally has continued with the story I'm trying to talk about. The story of one Raila Odinga and William Ruto. These two met in Uganda. When they met in Uganda, what happened? They had a conversation. The theater that happened between these two is what has rocked the country. This is what has defined politics as Kenyan politics this fine week. All right, the meeting between one Raila Odinga and one William Ruto. That is the picture for you. And the Daily Nation is asking this question: are these guys friends again? Is the lost bromance back? Will we see an interesting dalliance between one William Ruto and Raila Odinga? That's what the daily newspaper is focusing on. And equally, we'll be looking at the power of a picture. What does a picture say? What is it in a picture? All right. Wanasemanga picture says more than 1,000 words. I don't know if you can be able to see the newspaper properly. Let me try to enlarge it for you. But I think now you can see quite clearly. All right. Now, the picture that they are talking about is what was shared in both Raila Odinga's timeline and William Ruto's timeline. And interesting enough, the post that came in therein to try to explain your picture ndio pia ili captivate watu wengi. In a very interesting twist, Raila Odinga acknowledges William Ruto as the president of Kenya. Yeah, interesting times ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Him and one Martha Karua have refused adamantly for quite some time to acknowledge the president as the president. In any case, they would call him Mr. Ruto. In any case, at times they would call him Ruto, ama Bwana Ruto. But this time, in a twist of on the turn of event, one Raila Odinga has described and called William Ruto as the president. I'll be showing you that post in a minute. But what are we talking about? Are the photos that shocked the country just few days ago, and that is how we begin the show. And equally, this is how we have made it ikona kawimbo. So listen in even as I bring my panelists to discuss this. Karibu sana. This is Kenya News Link. Alright, hiyo wimbo ilifanya Azimio ikashika kushika, ilikuwa lero ni lero, na ikafanya Azimio ikawa timu moja kali, timu moja safi kwa sababu ya hiyo wimbo. Ingechezwa tu hivi, I'm telling you, even my children walikuwa wanapenda huo wimbo sana. I'm telling you, ilikuwa wimbo moja fiti na ilikuwa ina signify Azimio and one Raila Odinga's campaign machinery walitumia hiyo wimbo sana. Ilikuwa wimbo moja fine too. Thank you sana. Weh, I'm telling you. But the song itself this time round has not just been a song, imewekwa photos. Imewekwa picha, na hizo picha ndo hizo hapo. Ni picha ambazo zilitumwa na one William Ruto, equally zilitumwa pia na one former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Ukitazama picha yana maneno mengi. There's a lot to be said. Apart from the cows, apart from wao kwa field, kuna vitu mingi hizo picha zinasema. Okay, so that is what Daily Nation is asking, what is it in a picture, what is it in a picture, the power of a picture, ya kwamba hawakusema lolote, lakini picha tu peke yake ilisema vitu vingi tu sana. Alright, asante sana wewe ambaye unajiunga nasi asubuhi ya leo. Ni juzi unatazama ukiwa wapi, lakini zaidi ya yote like hii video, na zaidi usisahau kusubscribe kwa Kenya News Link. Kimbia hapo YouTube, subscribe to Kenya News Link, na wacha hii ikawa channel yako ya kwanza ya kukuletea burudani na vitu kama hizi hapo kwa YouTube. Okay, acha niwasalimu hawa ndugu wawili. Vipi kakangu Alex, habari asubuhi?
Hapa sio asubuhi, hapa ni usiku. Naona saa asubuhi imefika saa 6:30.
Ni asubuhi
Tuko
sasa, ni
salama,
asubuhi ya
tunashukuru
manane.
Maulana.
Aha.
Tunashukuru Maulana, tumeamka ama tuko salama, tujalala bado.
Alright, karibu sana kwa show. Aha, Mr. G, hujambo, karibu kwa show. Sijui kama habari asubuhi.
Nzuri sana, habari ya asubuhi. Happy to see Alex.
Salama sana.
To see you.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright. Sasa gazeti la leo bwana Alex na bwana G inauliza hivi, picha inaweza sema nini? Ukitazama gazeti ya leo inakuonyesha kwamba kuna mmoja ya watu wawili hapa ambapo zamani hawako wakikaribiana eh. Kuna hata wakati mmoja alikataa kuenda debate national debate kwa sababu alisema ai fulani siwezi kukaribiana naye, lakini sasa ndo hii picha ambayo wamekaribiana, wako na mazungumzo, wanajaribu kujadili hata kama hatusikii wanasema nini. Sasa swali kwa hii gazeti ni ya kwamba are these guys friends again, and then wanauliza kwamba Ruto and Raila and power of a picture. Alright, wako watu wili ndio, lakini picha iko na hadithi zaidi ya jinsi ambavyo tunajua. Hii si mara ya kwanza wawili kupigwa picha, lakini ya hii mara iliibua mambo tofauti nchini. Wacha nianze na wewe bwana Alex. Ulipoona hizi picture, what came to you? What did you feel when you saw? Nothing has been said this far, but what came to you when you saw the pictures?
For me, when I saw the picture, what came in my mind, I expected it to be, this country was not going to be stable in any way because of the exodus, the mass exodus of direct foreign investment, and also the hemorrhaging of the job opportunities in our country. So while Ruto was looking forward to govern the country, he came to realize that being number one is not as easy as he may think. He needs a team. And that team is not enough to be his inner circle. It must be a multi-sectoral team that must move forward. So I think in his early days, he thought he could do it with the expertise and the experience that he has had for a couple of years. But it's easier to preempt things, especially if you have never been given the task to handle issues now unilaterally the way he wanted. If you look at how he handled his administration when he came in, he rubbished everything that his president had done, and he created a new norm. And therefore, he created a chaos in itself that I don't think he was able to come out of it. So for me, it was natural that this day was coming. And the reason I say this day was coming is two things. Atuoli going to the other side and Atuoli having lunch with Orengo. So those two things told me that the day is coming, but we didn't know that it's going to be done in a foreign country because earlier attempts to unite these two people was done in private. It is said Suluhu came and they met in Mombasa, and I don't know why the Mombasa people cannot confirm like Mr. G, but now again another attempt was made, which was in Uganda, and I think basically the interest took over because of the seat of the AU. So I think we are sacrificing the politics of local for international politics, which is quite unfair. But as you said, these pictures are quite unique. For instance, the one that you just put there, Ruto is on the left, which is not natural. I think the photographer should be sacked or should never have released that photo. As a president, Ruto should always be in the right. And you saw that when the two were walking.
But these are the
And you
guys
saw
on the
that
move.
front.
Walikuwa wanasonga songa wakitembea wanasonga
But most
hivi.
of them, as you can see, most of them, as you can see, and I can bet it's 90%, Ruto was always on the right. Now, the other thing was the attire. The attire is telling. Okay? And Ruto's attire is the one that is telling because there is no yellow there at all, which means he compromised a lot. But Baba came with a glaring blue,
So,
which is not, it does matter in politics. Don't take it for granted. Just go and see showbiz the way they do it. When Ruto and Uhuru came out of State House when they were the twins, they came out with red ties, except that Ruto did not have the red eyes that Uhuru had. So, but this one you can see a perfect Nilotic picture, except for a Bantu called Mr. Yoweri Museveni. But it's quite telling. There was a lot. And then you can see even some photographers were not allowed. They had to take only their back. You can see a photographer way back there. And if you can see the background again, it's a rural background, like the one that Magufuli used to have a sitting with Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga likes when he's negotiating to go to rural areas whereby there is nobody. And this is the meeting that he missed when Ruto was on his way to Nakuru. And Uhuru called him and said, any deal you want, I will give it to you. And Ruto turned around and went back to Nairobi and became the deputy of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So this is a moment in history that the two had missed. And the former Cherengani MP, the young man, what is his name?
okay.
Kutunyi was the one who disrupted the union that we are seeing today. So I hope Kutunyi looks at this picture and knows that history will never forget him.
Okay. Aha. Bwana G, hii picha ulipoiona, what came to you? Ulifeel vipi? Did it embrace you with mixed feelings? Ulifeel aje ulipoona hii picture imecirculate?
Okay,
Uliamini,
to me,
ulidoubt?
okay, I did not doubt it, but ukweli ni kuwa I did not expect that picture. Although outside politics, Alex ame-explain here the picture, the hizo nguo, the hata ambao amevaa, the style, and I can agree with Alex that the fashion, yeah, in politics fashion always speaks. But now my question, I'm not asking you guys, but it is a question that I'm asking myself. Tukienda kwa stylish, I don't know why this guy ambaye huwa anavalisha nini Museveni has never been sacked, because always Museveni anavanga kama mtu mwingine ambaye hajielewi. So I always ask myself, when a president, why can't he just have somebody who can another make at least he look, at least anavaa nguo ambazo ziko sawa. Anavaa nguo mara sijui ni kama hiyo mafungo zimeenda kombo, nguo imekaa ni kama jamaa ameenda kunywa pombe, and he's a president. So okay, let us come out of that. On that picture, okay, I never expected it, but it speaks a lot. Kwa sababu for we as Azimio, we had a lot of hope, and we had a lot of things that we expected from Azimio. One of it ilikuwa ni kupata justice kwa election yetu ambayo iliharibika on 2022, the year 2022. We had a lot of issues that we were expecting, but now getting such pictures, obvious, hatutapata what we expected. Yeah. So the picture speaks a lot, but before that picture, okay, angalia before that picture, hapo juu kuna those red words. Hizo zimeandikwa na red hapo juu. I think those are the ones that speak louder than even that picture. Because when you read the red words, I think it explains what Kenyans are passing through at the current moment. The economy, how the economy is hitting people, how wazazi wameshindwa kulipia wanafunzi wao ni karo. Sasa wameamua kubadilisha kupeleka kwa public mahali ambapo at least they can anaweza mudu na maisha. So I think
All right.
we have a lot that we're expecting here.
Interesting. I see Mr. Naona rafiki yetu wa zamani Bwana Mise amekaribia show. Hi sir, how are you? Good morning. I don't know if it's morning. I don't know if it's afternoon. He's equally a very good friend of Alex. Mise, good morning.
Good morning. How are you? It should be good
Karibu
morning.
sana kwa show. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Now, I don't know if you have seen these photos from where you are, and that's what we are looking at this morning before we go to other issues making headlines. What did you make of this photo when you saw it circulate on social media? What came to you?
I think it was long overdue. I think they have taken so long to have come out this way and, unite for the betterment of the country. There are differences that the
Yes.
interest of the country surpasses their personal interests. So I think it's a good thing to have leaders unite for a common cause and put their differences behind for the betterment of our country. So there is time and season for everything. There was a time for election and campaigns, and we are past that. And to come together for a common cause, I think that is the most sign. That's a sign of patriotism, and I am impressing that. It's good to see people from the far leftist and rightist to come together and have a common dialogue to ensure that our country and our presence is felt at the African level and probably far and beyond the surrounding of all the boundaries of Africa.
All right. This is interesting. And Alex, your friend is here. What do you make of now being united that William Ruto and Raila Odinga can now make a seat, just like it happened during handshake in 2020 what? What do you make of it? Now that we can be in a meeting together, even how does that even make you feel? After the handshake, this happened again in 2018 thereabout, I think.
I think the journalists have a way to create situational ethics whereby they create what is called unholy alliances to a point that we come to believe some things are impossible. And if I'm right, it's called yellow journalism, whereby you put it in black and red, bold and italic, that some things may never happen in life. Okay? So, for instance, the leftists and the rightists have their own agenda. For instance, we have an unholy alliance here with a lawyer wearing green at night and practically a businessman wearing a suit at night. And you can almost see an unholy alliance here. But then it reaches a point whereby the two must merge and talk to each other. When a country is not at war, comic is the matter of the day. So I can almost say that it's a baronial tendency whereby leaders now must go beyond personal politics. They must go beyond petty issues. And as I said yesterday, by partnership must come into the edge whereby it's give and take. 2 years down the road, we cannot say that we are going to stick our feet into the cement and refuse that. Look, the housing issue is not going to continue. If Ruto wants to continue that, there are things that we also want. So can we give Ruto the house levy And what can Ruto give us? That is what we want to know today from especially Mr. Misuse. If we accept that we are going to give you the housing levy and the taxes, are you going to reduce the cost of living? Are you going to do what we want? So that is what we want to see, the results of these pictures. These pictures are a sign that something is up. But beyond that picture, we are reading that, are we getting what we want, or is just the holy or unholy alliance? That is what we want to know now.
All right, interesting. Unholy Alliance, eh? That's how you have called it. Bwanaji, let me ask you quickly. When these two guys were together back in 2007, we had a very strong team by the name ODM when these two were working together. When now they begin to work together, one going to AU and the other one remaining here back home, but in a way working together because somehow they still need each other. What do you make of this friendship? Will it be this bromance itakuwa moja moto sana yenye Kenyans should really wait to see very interesting things from now henceforth? What do you make of this new revived friendship?
Okay.
Mr. G?
Sorry, I was on the call. Kuna jamaa nilikuwa naongea naye kwa call,
Okay.
sijapata vizuri, but but I think just ni explain to in 1 minute niweze kuelewa what you are asking.
In 2007 hawa majamaa walikuwa mabeshte sana, mpaka uhusiano wao ulitikisa nchi kwa sababu ya, you remember how ODM was vibrant then, and after they fell apart, kidogo kidogo kila mmoja alienda na akajijenga kivyake. Sasa wamerudiana. Kuanzia sasa, should we expect to see a very strong team in their coming together? And as a country, what should we really expect from this friendship? Alex says there should be a give and take. Wewe unaiangalia from what angle?
Okay, obvious in this issue, who an interest. It's just interest. Nothing happens just for nothing just happens in politics where it is just about interest. On this meeting, I know that wamekutana kwa sababu obvious tutaongea kuhusu mambo ya AU kwa sababu anataka support from the government, from the city government, which is one of the key factor kwa hii issue ya mtu kupata hiyo kiti. Anafaa we supported by the president. But first of all, before I say it, muona Misa, ujue it is very hard kuona Misa akiingia kwa show morning. Sijui leo na nini mpya, but I think we're expecting something new from him. Okay. On that picture and what we may be expecting from it, what I know is that as Azimio, watu ambao ni kina Misa, watu wa UDA wamekuwa wakitutusi sana, wakitusi Raila, wakisema Raila has nothing to offer Kenyans. Leo nashangaa nasema kuwa it is better, it is good leaders wakikutana, wakiketi pamoja. So I really don't understand where they stand, because these are the people ambao walikuwa wanatuambia kuwa sisi hakuna kitu tunaweza offer this country. Kama baba hana anything, kitu ambacho anaweza offer is only maandamano, but then ndo wamekuja kabisa wakisema baba is the person ambaye anafaa AU, baba is the person ambaye amefightia this country, democracy and everything. So sitting together is a good thing. Anyway, that is right. But for me, I think the coming together of Baba and Uhuru and Ruto, most of people hatutapata justice. Because first of all, Ruto is a cruel man. This is a guy ambaye huwa anajiangalia yeye mwenyewe. As much as we expecting him to support Baba kwa hii kitu ya AU, but we people, the common wananchi wa chini wale tulikuwa tunadanganywa ati mama mboga, hii government ni ya mama mboga, hii government ni ya boda, we are not getting any justice. Kwa sababu gani? The guy is a liar. Na ana believe in lies. Kila wakati ana believe in lies. So just tell me if kuna anything good tutaweza pata kwa hii coming together as friendship. Kama si Ruto kupata his way out ya kuperform what he wanted, vitu kama hii house levy hakuna mtu atazipinga, vitu kama hiyo, vitu anything ambayo kama propose kufanya hakuna mtu ataweza kuzipinga.
Okay, interesting. Mise, That was a direct blow to you. But what do you make that we are seeing UDA, the Speaker of the National Assembly, has come out strong to support Raila's Odinga candidacy for AUC. We have seen members of Parliament from UDA and Kenya Kwanza, including the majority leaders, really supporting the move to have Raila Odinga be the chair of AUC. And it's not usual to even have Oscar Sudi utter words that are positive to us. What do you make of it that now we are seeing some very unusual support from Kenya Kwanza, and equally support iko, lakini kuna ugumu kidogo kwa Azimio team to allow Raila Odinga move out to AUC. What do you make of this new move by one Raila Odinga, and equally the support is getting both from Azimio, though sometimes I would say reluctantly, because kuna watu bado they really don't want him to go out, and now guys who were termed as bitter rivals who are coming out, Akina Didmas Baraza, to support his move to go to AUC.
I think first of all I want to correct myself that and not misrepresent myself by ensuring that Mr. G understands that I do respect and appreciate the greatest contribution and the immense contribution of one Raila Amolo Odinga. I also want to remind my brother, Mr. G, that it is William Ruto in 2007 who was at the forefront supporting Raila Amolo Odinga when Mother Karua and the rest stole the victory of Raila Amolo Odinga. It is actually Ruto who wanted to fight on behalf of Raila Amolo Odinga. So these people, one more fact I wanted to bring to the attention of Mr. G is that William Samoei Ruto, at his earliest and young age, tender age, he got into politics and mingled with people like Raila Amolo Odinga at the earliest age during the Moi government. And also during the Kibaki government, he also was there and present and mingled with Raila Amolo Odinga. And even after they won the election, despite the fact that there was animosity and personal interests, I am sure that behind the curtains, these people had a way that they were connecting. So they have a long history together. As much as we see public rivalry and animosity, the truth is that these people, from this photo speaks volume. It shows that these people are in deep conversation that is actually geared towards one cause. However, I have to be very categorical that the people from UDA who are supporting and celebrating Raila Amolo Odinga to the for his chairmanship outside Kenya are very insincere. These people are not sincere with their support. It is just that they want to, it's like good riddance so that they do not get either sabotage or opposition from any, from executing their mandate or rolling out their agenda as promised before. So in the absence of Raila Amolo Odinga and in ensuring that there is good relationship between the sitting president William Samoei Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga, then William Samoei Ruto is going to enjoy unprecedented, power and control because the only person who wields a lot of power in Kenya is Raila Amolo Odinga when he's on the opposition. Secondly, I want to say that there are people who will not want Raila Amolo Odinga to go to or to move or exit the Kenyan politics for a very simple reason. We have Raila orphans, people who depend on Raila as reputation and affiliation to get to parliament. People like Raila Orengo, people like Junet Mohammed, and very many others, Milio Diambo, and many others that depend on the goodwill, and by being around Raila Odinga, they get direct tickets, they get privilege that is extended, the royalty that is extended from the ODM supporters. That is how I see. But more importantly, the moral lesson that we learn from here, and we have always been reminded, is that there is no politics, there is no enemies in politics, permanent enemies in politics. And besides that, is that politics or governance has a small class. You know, Alex, tulisoma kitabu ingine ile ya shamba la wanyama, and this is a clear play of shamba la wanyama. Wanyama wote ni sawa, lakini wengine ni sawa zaidi kuliko ya wengine. Kwa hivyo ukitazama hivi sasa utaona kwamba hawa yanayojiri ni kwamba kuna kikundi cha wanasiasa katika nchi yetu ya Kenya ama hata ulimwengu mzima ambao wameji establish kwamba ambapo wamefika wao hawatatingizika kwa sababu wamekita mizizi katika ulingo wa kisiasa. Nafikiri Kiswahili sanifu, katika ulingo wa kisiasa. Lakini in Kenya you can tell Raila Odinga, William Samoei Ruto, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the Kibaki family, the Moi family, this prominent businessmen around these politicians, they have unprecedented access to anything, anywhere within the country. So the question is, you and me, Jax, Mr. G, and Mr. Alex, we are very passionate about our country, but yet we don't have access, we don't have the privilege of going anywhere. The question is, what are we doing also to build ourselves so that we can also be somewhere? Our children and our generation, future generation, can also have some sort of access, either through the social network or capital network, that in the future, if I'm not in this world, my kids will not suffer from looking for a job or from getting into poverty after I've worked so hard. So for me, that's what I'm seeing, classic play, that these people, they are not enemies. There is a lot that we have to look back and say. Ruto was the president of at the time when many Kenyans lost their properties and lives in the quest of justice and electoral good practice in at IBC. Raila Molong called for those maandamanos, and a lot of people lost their property. So the two people today, they are sitting on the same table. What about you and me? Mwenye gari yangu ilichomwa, mwenye nilipoteza my property. That means we need to sit down and use that clause in the constitution that says power is vested in the people, and the people can exercise it directly or indirectly through representation, or the people going to the streets and demanding what is right without favoring any of the two parties.
All right, beautiful. I love what you have said. Alex, Mr. Macy says that the support from Kenya Kwanza might not be a sincere support. Equally, he's asking what happens to those who lost their lives, lost their properties in the quest. I think we mentioned this yesterday when we wanted some form of justice, maybe electoral justice, where we wanted the servers to be open, among many other things that led to the protest back then. What happens to the people who lost their lives? What happens to the people whose shops were looted, to the cars that were vandalized and destroyed? These people suffered for a cause that now we don't know if it was really worth it. Kenya Kwanza support to Raila Odinga, is it really even a sincere support? What do you make of what Messi has said? And equally, when you look at how things now have turned, um, does it make the former protest worth it in any sense?
No, I want you to engage me on a superior logic.
Mm-hmm.
And I want Misa to stop reading so that we can start looking at each other here and get serious on what we are talking about. Politics, by definition, is fight for power.
Mm-hmm.
And if we put that relevancy, then you can
Mm-hmm.
understand here that the fight is on. So when you're fighting for power, you don't just sit
Mm-hmm.
in the periphery and you wait that power to come in. Had blood not shed, Ruto would not have been shaken. Even in our
Mm-hmm.
own salvation, it is the remission, the blood is what brings the remission of sins. So you going
Mm-hmm.
back and say what happens to these people, those are a sacrifice. Politics has a sacrifice. And without that sacrifice, those who are deemed to be in power cannot listen to the opposition. So
Mm-hmm.
for you to start bringing it and say, what about those? Those are the ones who have met these two people today to meet. And had
Okay.
that not
They
happened,
they were the sacrificial lamb.
obviously they must be for the opposition and the government to sit down and
Mm-hmm.
agree
Mm-hmm.
upon the issue. Look at the bigger picture here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is power,
Mm-hmm.
wielding power. As I
Mm-hmm.
said yesterday, we are here discussing the pictures, but these people have already formed the IBC commission and finished. Okay? They are way
Mm-hmm.
ahead of us. 2027 is done and dusted. We're talking about 2032. Okay? So the whole issue must be looked on the superior logic on for these people to have sat down here and meet. There was an agreement. And you see the beehive activities that have been going on. And I will tell you the last minute beehive activities that you could see. First of all, Baba takes a picture with Babu Wino. And they are very close, and Baba is listening to Babu Wino. The next day, Babu Wino goes to the investment conference of Wanga that was launching. The day after that, Wanga goes to prime time, and what is he doing? She's marketing Homa Bay as one of the best counties. After that, we are seeing a picture from Uganda. Okay? Before even we heal from that shock, they are in Homa Bay. So what next? You can understand that Rigji is what? Confused. Martha Karua is distraughted. Okay? Wetangula doesn't know if he will keep his job. Muturi doesn't know what to do because when the deal is made, it is ultimately not the people that were with these two people. Wakina Kioni or these people are going to perish, vanish like that. And a new crop of creation is going to be created that is going to shock us. And that's the nature of politics. You cannot deny
Mm-hmm.
it. So if I asked you today, where does Martha go to? Martha, even if she runs with her shell, and fortunately, Misa is branding her here with this green color, she will only be a one individual. Without being in the shadows of Baba, the lady is done, dusted. So is Uhuru. That's a fact. Let's look things from a superior logic and ask ourselves, where are we headed to? So the issue of saying people died at ABCD, that's is only hadithi. That is done. Nobody remembers that today. The question now lies in here. Even if it is not sincere, Echesa once made a mistake and abused Baba. And what happened a few months later? Echesa lost her job. So people like Aisha Juma know that they might be victims. This government is going to do a reshuffle, and casualties are going to be there. For Ruto to succeed in his housing levy and taxes the way he has put it, there will be casualties, big time. And that is where we are headed to. we are going to ask ourselves, the lunch that Atuoli had with Orengo, what did they discuss? Because these were indicators that bigger things were coming. If you could ask our brother Mudavadi, this is now the real tsunami for our people. I've seen the leftists on this side, we are still in denial, and people are still saying Ruto must go. I don't know how, but on the other side, our people are happy that, look, they are taking the picture from Ruto. They are happy that Rigiji alisema hatutaenda State House. You see, now we are focusing on pettiness because we are having palliative care. Okay? We want to massage ourselves with lies. But two people have sat down and decided how this country is going to go ahead. I've never seen somebody, maybe Mise will tell us, people from UDA, they go in their honeymoons in Uganda. We usually go to Zanzibar. But for people to go to a honeymoon in in a rural area in Uganda, then there must be something very serious, because you see the big Ankoli cows, and it looks like these people are also carrying sticks. So there's a big message from there that whips za Zakayo zinakuja. So that is my interpretation. I'll leave it there.
Interesting. Mr. G, after the handshake, there's what one speaker, Moses Wetangula, described that eventually it became messy, noisy, and it definitely had casualties. This new dalliance between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, I'm sure somehow, very soon, it will be noisy. Of course, the noises have begun. Soon it will be messy. We'll have people who will be disgruntled by this new alliance, and of course, casualties hawatakuwa wawili. When you look at this, one Mr. Alex says that you never know, we might even have a change of the speaker. What do you perceive as some of the messes that would happen in this particular new move between William Ruto and Raila Odinga?
You know, Jakes, I will agree with Alex. Let's go back to, I think it was yesterday's paper. There's a paper that talked about people, the allies of Raila getting position. Sijui kama ilikuwa ni ya jana ama ilikuwa ni ya juzi, but it had that headline. So, looking at what happened with the former government, which had handshake with the Raila and the Uhuru, kuna watu, we had casualties, and this is the same thing that will happen even today. And I agree with you, Alex, what you have said. There will be casualties. We have people ambao itabidi watolewe. We will have a shuffle, and now the problem is that we are the people, because people elect leaders hoping that the authority will be on a defending side of them. They will be defended. And one of being defended is that they don't want to be oppressed, because a lot of people, they elect leaders so that they may waweze kusaidiwa wasiwe oppressed. Some government come in alafu ana oppress people, like the government ambao tuko nayo sasa. When they came in, it is this guy Gachagua ambaye alisimama akasema kuwa this government ni government ya shareholders. If you never voted for this government, hakuna kitu utapata. Na in case ukuje mbele umesimama kwa laini expecting something, mimi nitakuja kukutoa ni kurudisha nyuma. Why? You never voted for this government. So if a government always oppress people, and now at the current situation that we're in, I think casualties watakuwa wengi, and people ambao how expect, I don't know what they will say, because a lot of these guys from UDA walisema kuwa baba hafai, wasema kuwa baba Kitambaa najua ni maandamano. Now they are sitting together with this guy, with Ruto, planning what will happen 2027, and I know exactly they know who commissioners will be, even though sijajua itakuwa lini, but I know they are pushing this thing to happen very soon, so that the process mapema, because since last election a lot of by election hazijafanyika kwa sababu hatuna commissioners. So hii kitu itapushiwa haraka sana ifanyike. We don't know who will take it, but mtu yote ambaye anakuja kuchukua itakuwa because of the 2027, because me what I know ni kuwa Ruto ashatengeneza njia.
Mr. G, jaribu kuinua hiyo speaker yako juu hivi kidogo.
Oh, sawa.
Mr. G, inua hiyo. Yeah, very good. Endelea sasa.
Yeah, in 2027 hakutakuwa na that opposition. hakutakuwa na ile difficulties kama vile baba kama vile angepitia wakati Azimio ingekuwa united. Alex ameongelea kuhusu Martha Karua. I don't know where Martha Karua she is, but I don't know how he's also feeling, kwa sababu Martha Karua was the deputy president, the vice president of Raila, but now I don't know how it happened. Sahi imekuwa sasa everything is just Kalonzo. Kalonzo ndo ana take over. Kalonzo ndo anaonekana kila mahali. Kalonzo ndo sasa anaitwa leader, and yet he was under Martha Karua. So I don't know how it happened, but as I said yesterday, baba akishajitoa hapa akaenda kwa hiyo AU ambayo anapigania, that is the end of Azimio. I don't see kama Azimio ita survive, and I agree with Mise on what Mise has said. You know, these people who were supporting baba in UDA, they're just hypocrites. Hawasupport baba kwa ile uwazi, wanamsupport kwa sababu ya what they know they're going to get, the opposition ambao walikuwa na feel hawataipata. Ile castigation, how do I call it, ile expose ambao baba alikuwa anafanya haita happen sana. So wale ambao ni wezi, you know, in KK most of them ni wezi, most of them ni wale jamaa ambao ni wakora. So hiyo vitu itaendelea even though baba hatakuwa karibu. So with these people ambao wako area, nani ataweza kusimama aweze kuexpose? Nani atasimama aseme kwa wewe Ruto acha kuiba hiyo shamba unaiba? Nani atasimama aseme wewe hiyo deal ya G2G ilikuwa ni ya uongo? Nani atasimama aseme kwa sahi? No one will stand. But sasa itakuwa ni highway for Ruto kuendelea. So Mesa amesema kuwa people should come out. People should just come out if possible, waweze kusimama na ile nini ambayo inasema power is vested in people. The same Misa alikuwa anasema kuwa watu wasitoke nje wakaandamana. This Misa here alikuwa anasema watu wasitoke nje wakaandamana. Sasa anaanza kuongea kuhusu watu wanaweza toka nje. So I don't know exactly what he meant. Maybe unaweza explain vizuri nikuelewe Misa.
Yeah. First of all, I also wanted to correct you, Mr. G. We have this tendency of saying that we have only one thief in Kenya, who is William Ruto, which is actually not true. We have thieves up to the county level, and we have thieves everywhere. This corruption, like Alex, I was very, very frustrated. Last year, I was in Kenya, and I was conned in a lawyer's office, and the lawyer told me I am a cartel and I am part of the cartel. And I was so disgusted sitting in an office of a lawyer who is supposed to be a custodian of the law, telling me, and I can read to you, I have the text here. Just hold on. I have the text. So the lawyer told me, if you want your title deed, I'll get it out in 3 days. But if you go yourself, you can't get it. I can only get it because I'm part of the system. I am a cartel. Okay? So now, if lawyers are part of the cartels, are they playing their fair share to the development and integrity of our nation? So when we start looking and speaking, do you know how many thieves are in Azimio who are hiding behind Baba, who are now trembling that Baba is going and is not going to shield them? Do you know how many thieves were behind Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who are thrilled that now William Ruto is the president? So this whole system of ya majambazi, unajua kuna wimbo ingine tulikuwa tunasikiza kitambo, system ya majambazi, and we never took it serious. Now you see it in real life. And I can tell you, we need to change as a country. The culture of our country is rotten. And the moment we realize that corruption doesn't just eat the corruption is not just by the head of the nation, but it's also right from mwalimu ama watchman ama anywhere, any office you go to, in the name of nunua chai, wacha kitu kidogo. The moment we start fighting this, that's when we resume that. Bring integrity. Let me tell you something. In Canada, Kenyans who came here, they have brought that corruption. Yesterday, a Kenyan took me somewhere, and I was actually surprised. I realized that I've lived here longer na sijui vitu ambazo zinafanyika hapa. Out of the goodwill of your Red Cross imewapatia kadi ambayo wanawekea wale ambao ni wageni, ambayo inawasaidia kwa mahitaji kidogo kidogo, inawawekea kama dola 450 after every week, alafu na 500 hivi baada ya mwezi moja. Lakini hiyo kadi inahitaji kutoa tu kwenda ununue chakula, kama unahitaji nguo ununue, lakini haijatengwa ili kutoa pesa ama kutoa hela katika ile kadi. Lakini jana mtu alinipeleka mahali na akanionyesha njia, na amekuja hapa hajakaa hata miezi 3, na akanipeleka mpaka kwa shimo ingine ambayo wanaenda wanaonyesha kwamba wanaenda mtu ana swipe card kwamba amewauzia chakula, kisha anawapatia pesa na anachukua commission yake. Now that tells you how corrupt we are, that mahali tunaenda tunaipeleka. Sasa ndio nakuuliza ndugu yangu na Mr. G, unajua kuna kitu ambayo Alex amesema, hatuwezi tukabadilisha kwamba rais hivi sasa ni William Samoei Ruto. Uelewa? Sasa kama sisi ni tunajua sheria imetupatia nafasi, mbona basi tusitumie hiyo sheria ili ibaki mtu ambaye ni mwenye ni mfisadi ni William Ruto peke yake? Unaona? Let me tell you, go read the history, and Alex here can tell you. Read the history of Robert Mugabe. Read the history of Fidel Castro. Read the history of Muammar Gaddafi. Read the history of Hugo Chavez. Read the history of even Bill Clinton, and even very many presidents or heads of state. There are people who hide around and under them. And recently you saw Joe Biden, mtoto wake akipelekwa kotini hapa na pale wakitaka kumtoa. Kuna watu ambao wana take advantage of the power, because when you're connected to power, it means you can influence anything. Imagine kama mimi ni mtoto wa Alex na Alex ni mkuu wa majeshi. Mimi nikienda barak yoyote, naambia huyu ni mtoto wa Alex, milango inafunguliwa. That influence, I can either use it positively or negatively. To the greater part of our citizens, they use it negatively. So kwa hivyo ningekuomba unapoyazungumzia usije sana ukazingatia kuwa yeye ndio mwizi peke yake. Tuko na wezi wengi sana. Sijui kama nimekujibu.
Alright, wezi wengi sana. Wezi ni wengi kibao, and kwa sababu umeleta stories za wezi kibao, jana gazeti la jana, of course tumeangalia kidogo tu gazeti ya leo. Gazeti ya jana ilikuwa na hii kama headline, and it talked about budgeted graft, what equally we have has informed our thumbnail for this morning show, that we could be looking at, we are dealing with budgeted corruption. Why are we talking about budgeted corruption? I'm telling you, the amount of money being spent to do curtains, wacha tu, imepita explanation. The amount of money being spent to renovate a certain office, imepita explanation. I'll be reading to you some of the money in question here. We are talking of several billions that has gone to very interesting places. And of course, what informed our show is that beautiful thumbnail of budgeted corruption. This was informed equally by the newspaper that talked about budgeted graft. It's one and the same thing. All right. Now, Alex, I want to come to you. When we make our budget, I see Mr. G and I know I'm gonna, yes, Mr. G. Oh, sorry, I didn't give you power of reply, but anyway, go ahead before I come to Alex.
I think before we go to this issue of budget and the corruption, I wanted to talk to Mise, because ameongea kuwa we have people who always hide behind president alafu anafanya evil. Sijui kama anajua pia some president also ama some leaders, they always hide before people. They hide and then when they perform their evil act, then they come out wakipretend kuwa they are so clean. I want to to relate with the story kwa hii kitabu inaitwa The Prince. You know, Nicole Machiavelli wrote about somebody called Cesare Borgia. And this guy, there's this region ambao he wanted to bring it under his control. Na to bring it, kuna watu ambao walikuwa ni hardliners na kuna watu ambao walikuwa ni troublemakers in that region. So what the Borgia did, I'll appoint somebody na akamtuma to that region kwa sababu he wanted to take over that country, that region. When he sent the guy there, the guy went akaanza kushika our troublemakers. In fact, he chopped off their heads na wengine wakakuwa castrated, those guys kwa hiyo region. After that, Borgia himself ambako ametuma that guy, he came out akashika huyu jamaa ambaye alikuwa ametuma pale. After kumshika akamkata into pieces kwa sababu watu walikuwa wamekasirika. Watu waliona and they were pissed off. They saw what evil happened in that region. When huyu jamaa alienda akashika watu anakastrate, anawachinja, anawaua. Watu wakakasika. Wakati watu wakasika, what happened? The leader ambaye alimtuma huyo mtu ambaye ni Borgia, he took over this guy, akamkata into pieces na akamtupa kwa uwanja hapo mbele kwa market. Watu walipoona walikuwa wamekasikia ule mtu, but hawakuwa wamekasikia nani? Borgia. And yet the plan and everything was planned by this guy ambaye ni Borgia. So here he's coming out to be a clean man. So I wanted nani kuniambia which lesson anaweza learn kwa hiyo situation, kwa sababu here watu wamekuwa angry because of the act ambayo imehappen, and the act imehappen kwa sababu the leader ametuma this guy kufanya hivyo. So now the leader is coming behind this guy, anaua the guy, anapretend kuwa ni mzuri. In fact hata after kuwa huyo jamaa alianza kupatia watu chakula, anawa entertain, anawafanya yani wawe na raha, wasikumbuke what had happened. So I don't know which lesson anaweza learn, kwa sababu amesema kwa most people they hide before presidents, and yet I know these leaders are the same people who hide before people, wanatumia watu vibaya for their gain.
I do not dispute that, Mr. G. My only argument was that all these people, including William Samoei Ruto, they are corrupt, including Raila Odinga, in their dealings. But some are smart, you know. You remember, Alex, what is that drug dealer that I just forgot his name? The guy who built, no, the guy who built his own jail and had to give the United States
Pablo
Escobar, right? The guy mastered the art of corrupting everybody, and he had ways that he could angejulikana, alikuwa anafanya deals na angejulikana. So these leaders, money plus power can take you anywhere. So I'm not saying that Raila is clean. I'm not saying Ruto is not stealing. Matter of fact, he is stealing left, right in preparation of 2027, unless and otherwise there is no fierce competition will come 2027. So I am very much aware that he must amass enough wealth for him to be relevant in 2027 and beyond 2027. And besides that, he might have spent more than in becoming the president of the Republic of Kenya come general election 2022. And so, as a result, he must regain the money that he spent. So, do not be mistaken that I am defending William Ruto, but I get somewhere and say, here is a family. You have a father who is stubborn. You have a father who is a thief. You have a father who is corrupt. You have a father who lacks sense of direction, but he's your father. Okay? What can you do? You know, there's a story that is being told that ukitoka nje, I think ni Swale Mdoye alikuwa ametoa mfano kwamba ukitoka nje upate mama yako amekaa vibaya. Yani amekaa vibaya inamaanisha sehemu zake nyeti zimefichuka, na unapoingia kama mwanaume umeziona, lakini nyuma yako kuna wageni ama watu wa nje nao pia wanaingia. Sasa wewe kama mamako ama kama mtoto wa huyu mama ungefanya nini? Ungerudi au wageni wakuja wampata ameketi vibaya, ama wewe ungemwambia akae vizuri ili asije kuonekana uchi wake usije ukaonekana pale kwa hawa wageni? So mimi naonelea kwamba first of all we must agree and accept that Ruto is the president of the Republic of Kenya. We can't do anything unless we impeach him. Secondly, digitalization of government services is actually a good thing. We shouldn't just oppose everything. What we should be working on is using people like Raila Odinga, who wield a lot of influence and connections, to audit, to bring clear audit. For example, e-citizen should be able to generate reports on the on the back end. They should be able to generate reports of how much money that was collected and where was this money channeled to. If it's the school fees that last time we were having this conversation that the government wants to collect through e-citizen, we want to ask ourselves, how are we going to hold these people accountable? Where is this money channeled? Who is auditing these reports? Is this person auditing these reports compromised in a way that he will not tell us the truth and the money is channeled to other people's pockets? These are some of the discussions. Most of where we are, services that we receive, they are digitalized and it's easy. I can imagine now I can log into e-citizen and transact. I can log into Arith Sasa and see how my property is, whether there is anything that is going on. That is beautiful. That is amazing. But what we want to know also is the financial part of it. How much money did the Minister of Lands generate? How was that money collected? Where was it channeled to? How was it spent? Those are some of the critical questions that we need to see. The people like those who are in the legislative assemblies, the Senate and the counter assembly, they should use these houses to hold the government accountable, not just to be compromised. As I promised, Alex, I want you to listen to this. And I want you to tell me what you make of this when a whole lawyer, an elderly man tells you that. He told me that, Greeting Council, you would have never gotten your titles. The green cards for both were destroyed, courtesy of someone. We have prepared new ones. I've paid special consents, registration. The titles are ready for collection. Now underline that. He's lying to me so that I can cough more money, okay? And this is a lawyer. So the titles are ready for collection, plus the current search showing you are the new owner. What is remaining for me to sort is the registrar that he put the seals and pick, and I pick. Now, you have a balance of 89,000, true? Please send me 40K so that I can sort out the registrar and pick them out. Then you collect them tomorrow as you clear the balance. Thanks, and my pleasure working with you. So he almost gives me assurance that everything is done. Now listen to what comes next. Hello, Wakili. When you came to my office, there are two things I already told you concerning the transfers of your 2 parcels of land into your names. Firstly, that I am part of the cartel. And secondly, that I will deliver. This is a lawyer who has an audacity to write and send you a text that you can use against him. And that tells you how corruption has taken roots in our society. So at the end of the day, the titles were not delivered to me. I paid almost 300,000. The guy disappeared with my original documents, titles, and I had to try. He knew that I was flying out of the country and he was buying time. And eventually what I decided to do is I carried my whole clan at around 3 p.m. and we went to his office and sat down. He has CCTVs, and we sat down and we ordered food and we started eating for dinner. So When time came to close, because he wasn't coming to the office, we told the office, you can close. We are going to stay until he shows up, you know. So he called the police. I told the police, it would be nice that you come and arrest me from his office because I'm his client, and this will make my case. So eventually, he had to show up. And he had to show up. When he showed up, he lied to me that the titles are somewhere else. So what am I trying to tell you? If lawyers, you know, can do that, what about me and Alex in the streets of River Road? So there is a challenge in terms of corruption in our country, and everybody is corrupt.
All right. All right, Alex, now you have been quiet for quite some time, but these two fine gentlemen are discussing what I have been projecting, and that is the budgeted corruption. When you look at the figures that have been displayed for you, you see that there's a lot of money that over the years have really gone to wastage. There we saw around 50 billion that was used without the consent, rather, or the proper knowledge of the Auditor General of Budget of Control of Budget. Now, they have equally on the newspaper there, you can see they have highlighted, for example, 35 billion was an amount paid to non-existent staffers in counties. Okay, 5.7 billion was lost, is lost annually to ghost workers. Around 1.4 billion amount is paid in commitment fees, and of course undrawn from government loans, and 1.5 billion thereabout. We are talking of 466 million um, paid to teachers who are no longer in service. Of course, in by the time we were talking of the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022, of around half a billion thereabout, paid to teachers who had already retired. We are talking of 412 million that was sent to 9,489 college students between the year 2017 and 2023 for a period exceeding the duration of the academic process. So when we look at how we make our budget and everything else, do we set aside money, to pay teachers who have already gone to retire, to pay for students who have even completed school? How do we even use our money? Do we do ghost workers, ghost projects? And eventually, a lot of money is privileged through well prepared budgets that annually uh, is read to mwananchi.
Thank you, Mr. Jakes, for that topic of corruption. And indeed, as my good friend Mr. I said, Paul Sana for that ordeal. It's not a good experience, especially when you come from a legal background and then you find that your fellow learned friends are the conduit of such kind of conduct. It beats logic, and it if I was part of that profession, I could ask myself, am I in the right profession? Because your work is to help the people that are helpless, and yet you become a victim of circumstance. But nevertheless, uh, when Mr. comes, I'll diverge into that point. But you need to know that corruption is a global phenomenon. And I wanted to put it in a way that, Jex, you may understand it. In this country, we had a company called Enron. Enron was associated with Dick Cheney. And when they were in power with George Bush, that company went to liquidation. Remember, Texas does not pay income tax as a state. They take only federal tax. And therefore, their utilities are very expensive. So companies like Enron that supply electricity decided that they will inflate whatever they did insider trading. You know, those that sometimes I may not be able to explain. Maybe since we have a legal practitioner here, he may be able to tell us. But from there, you could see companies like AIG, Wells Fargo, so on and so forth. That's the country. The country went to a meltdown, not because our people were foolish, because the rich, the mighty, decided to bring practices through laws that actually could do what? they could inflate interest rates for me and you, and we could be able to buy any property. And that is one of the things that we fear about the new housing levies that you are getting, that what kind of interest rates are going to be there, the future, and therefore, are we going to get ourselves in a situation that America was in 2005, 2006, that brought economic meltdown? Now, having said that, Mother Karua said something about budgeted corruption a couple of months ago. But the question there lies, is it a new thing in Kenya? It is not. There was a time Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was caught just adding 1 0, and he said it's a typo error. So this has been a continuous process throughout. That's what happened during the Goldenberg saga. Ikakuja hii ingine, ikakuja this bank that was owned by this guy that later on decided to call himself Patni, associated with Patni. So you see, the problem with corruption is that it takes different scopes, and every government knows how to do it differently. You are not going to repeat the same thing you did in the previous government. Moi had the golden bag. Kibaki had the one that made Murungaru and Muiraria to do it, to go on the side. Uhuru had, is it Kosgei or Chirchir, had to get out of the Ministry of Energy. And today Ruto is also facing his own. Now, and as Misa said, and you must understand, Jax, politics is power. Power of influence is nothing if you cannot bankroll. And let us underline this word, bankroll your activities. So in a day, let me ask you, and people are saying, one of our good friends came here when we were in the courtesy of Africa and said that Babu Wino can take over Raila. Under which circumstances? In a day, Raila can go to Uganda, come to Homa Bay, end up going to Zanzibar, maybe to have his own time. You need like 3-4 choppers, okay, on your own. Martha Karua does not possess one. Kalonzo does not possess one. And how are you going to bankroll your activities in a day? There are how many matangas in Kisumu? How many matangas in Homa Bay? How many matangas in where? And Baba has to give each money and so where are you a superman to get all that money by yourself? We saw during the ODM delegates, Sifuna was giving people money. Yeah, anakuuliza tumesema nini they give. Where does that money come from? The only question is what America came to do, that we needed a finance campaign bill so that we can cap the amount of money we are spending on what? On our campaigns. And as you said, some of the things that make us go into corruption, especially for politicians, is the next election. It pinpoints to the next election. Now, figure out this, Mr. Jakes. It's rightly said that a governor can use up to 2 billion to campaign for a county. Now, can you imagine if we take 2 billion and say we want to pay for every person that is sick in Kisii County and every child that is in university, every child that is in secondary school, every child that is in kindergarten and primary school, we will be using a whopping 40% of that money and 60% will still remain. But our governor is allowed in a period of 3 months use 2 billion to campaign. What nonsense is that? So our laws themselves has created this phenomenon called corruption to a point that every governor today has that problem. You saw the other day, Oparaja is being dragged by ESCC. and I was laughing and I was saying, what a mess is this? And if they open that Pandora box, no governor will survive. Obado sent a whopping 2 billion to his son wherever in China in a minute. And we saw it. Where was ESCC? The other day you saw the ESCC guy come out crying a wolf and say, the only county in Kenya is Kisumu that is not corrupt, the rest are corrupt. Essentially, that's what he was saying. We saw our president go to Israel, carry his hands and say, we are the most corrupt country in the world. A whooping 2 billion a day is being taken. And that is the amount of money he could calculate and be accountable about, 2 billion in a day. So this corruption issue is way beyond, but there is a better way to tackle it. Kibaki tackled it, Matiang'i tried to tackle it, and the goodwill is not there. Once you become a tribe called a politician, let me emphasize that. Once you become a tribe called a politician, that's when you will see something that is happening in Kisii now. Nana, who could not even wear 2 underwears in a week, today is talking about Simbarati and says Simbarati is a bad person because he's sealing the loopholes of corruption. But is Simba really sealing the ceiling? Is he sealing the loopholes and him not being able to take anything out of it? That's the question we are asking. So the whole issue of corruption, if we start tackling it, nobody is clean. Nobody is clean. From you saw Songo tapes. Songo tapes essentially saying he's speaking with judges. And what happened? The judges themselves ganged him and said you can't produce those things anymore to Facebook. So it is something that hata uliona Uhuru akirusha mkono juu is because when Uhuru himself said he's going to do lifestyle audit, he found out that nobody is going to survive in his office. None of his friends is going to survive.
Alex,
So let us be honest about this issue. You see, sometimes we don't want to be brutally honest about some issues. Corruption is embedded to the core of our bedroom. Let me give you a classic example before I finish. Golden Bag issue was so bad that it embarrassed a lot of people. The only person that never ate the money of Golden Bag, and it's on the record, is Raila Odinga. Wamalwa alinuliwa nyumba Karen. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, that money found, he doesn't even know how he found that money in his office. Orengo was also, so as they were making noise in parliament, this money already was in their pockets. And you know what happened? That's how Golden Bag saga was silenced. So the so-called cartels, they know how to channel this money to the jacks. Nitakuja hapa niweka advertisement niseme kuna slippers nataka kuuza hapa, upate ni pesa ya cartel, nilikuja nikaweka hapa jacks, umekula, you are making noise, the next day nakwambia I silence you. So don't think these people who are doing this mega corruption are foolish. They know how to channel that money to the noise makers. Ask yourself, Ababu Namwamba of all people. 2007, he took a Bible and swore in the name of Raila Odinga. Today, the guy wears a Gucci of 900,000. He goes to a bar, shuts it down and say, nobody should enter, nobody should go out. Every drink that people drink here, I will pay it for free. I don't know if you have ever experienced that a politician comes to a bar. You can't go out, you can't come in because of his security. You have to sit there. Nobody is paying. Everybody can drink whatever they want to drink. And it's just like a brothel. That is how we function in Kenya. So if we want to tackle corruption, this is a gigantic thing that will create a lot of things. That's why Uhuru could not do lifestyle audit. But the question is there a better way to do it so that at least we start from somewhere? There is. There is.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, a quick one. Alex, one day I was driving to Embakasi, and after the bridge, there are two, one U-turn where you can make a U-turn, and there's the other one that comes this way. So there's no proper signage. So I missed and I made a U-turn on the wrong one, and the police was standing there, and he stopped me. He stopped in the middle of the road actually, and he put me on the side, and he told me, "Do you know why I'm stopping you?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You made a U-turn, a wrong U-turn." I said, "Well, there's no indication that I can't make a U-turn here." And he said, "And who told you that there should be one?" I said, "That's road signage, you know." So my aunt, we were seated with my aunt, and we are having this conversation. I want to drive off actually. The guy tells me, "Turn off the vehicle." I turn off the vehicle, and then he tells me, "Give me the key." And I ask, "Why am I giving you my key?" You know, and he tells me, "You do you have a boda boda number?" Then I say, "For what?" He said, "You better call them because the vehicle is going to police station. Just give me the key, and you have to go." So I said, "Excuse me, there is no signage that actually prohibits me not to make a U-turn there. Do you realize that?" Then he says, "Oh no, we are actually taking all road signage in Kenya. it's now a law that is coming up. We have started taking them off. You know, for a second, he made me believe. And this is a police officer in uniform. He almost made me believe. And then it hit my head that if we take all road signage off, how will international drivers come in Kenya and drive? Then I said, you know, you're lying. And then he said, ongea vizuri haraka uende, you're wasting my time. And I said, I don't have a, when niandikie niende, you know. Then he said, shuka. And then he called a backup. You know, when I turned the car on to go, my aunt told me, no, don't do it. You're escalating this. I said, I'm not going to give you money. My aunt had to get down and go give, I don't know, 3,000, and then I was let go. So what I'm telling you is that you have to buy your freedom. You can't argue. You don't have even that freedom of expression and representation is not there. So corruption starts down here. But again, what you said, Alex, is very critical. Yes, is there a way that we can finish this? I believe there is a way. Digitalization, all right? If we digitalize most of where there's no human contact, where you're not getting, you know, exchanging money. Like when you go to expressway, the expressway, the one that goes to the airport, it's either you pay and you come and the machine opens and you're gone, or you pay there. There's no negotiation. You pay and go, and it's a very smooth transaction. So if we digitalize most of our services, we will limit the human interaction. And actually, there's something I don't know, Alex. Even in the US, that's how it works. In Canada, you if you're processing an ID, for example, and you're in Ontario, for example, your ID, like let's say immigration, uh, let's say citizenship or something like that, is not processed in your province. It's processed in another province. What does that mean? Even if you wanted to go and bribe someone so that they can expedite the process, you can't, because when these people communicate with you, they communicate as agent number 3 or JM. So who is JM or agent number 3 4? You know, so it's very difficult to know who is processing your documents other than just put whatever that has been asked and mail them back. I believe we need to start doing that. The process, if you are in Nairobi and you want to process something like a passport, I believe it should be processed in Moyale and Northeastern huko. Yeah? This way, you don't know, ukienda kutafuta mtu huko, unapata you don't know watu. It will limit the corruption, the level of corruption that we have in Kenya.
All right.
There, you see, the problem is the politics of it, Mr. Jack and Mr. J. When you are on the minority side, because you don't have opposition, you keep on using that word opposition loosely. When you're in the minority side, and you bring a bill about the so-called Uduma number, you refuse it, you take us to court, and in the end, it becomes non-functional. It is a one single tire identification whereby you don't have to carry all your things. Today I was going with a friend somewhere. I was going to apply a job after I went to look for my passport. This guy had his diploma, yeah, Kenya, yeah, class 8, yeah, form 4. Yeah, I mean, all the shit that this guy had done. Oh, sorry, excuse my language. But you see, when you have a single identifier, gari zako title za nyumba zako, kila kitu is identified by one single tire. And that is what Matiang'i was trying to do at that particular time. And the politics of the date, succumbed and superseded the entirety of the thing. And what happens is this. Now, today again, they're introducing the same thing using a different name. And now the minority side is taking them to court. Now, you see how that vicious circle now affects us. It does affect us. So sometimes that is why bipartisan is very important. Put the politics aside, okay? And accept the reality that digitalization that should be done in the right way will curb a lot of corruption. But again, when the politics takes center stage, as Kofi Annan told us, there is something Kofi Annan said that many people eluded many people, that fari wawili wakipigana nyasi huumia. Lakini akasema tena, fari wawili, when they make love, it is a total mess again. And that is why, for me, Raila and Ruto coming together to make love, it will be a total mess in that country. There will be nobody who will be accountable to some of the drafts that we are going to see, that unprecedented, and we will never be able to uncover. But rightly so, let us hope that we can, out of goodwill, say for the first time, let us do the right thing. And Jakes, let me tell you, there's a difference between doing the right thing and doing things right. We should start doing things right, not the right thing. Thanks.
All right,
Yeah,
Mr. G.
Alex, I think I heard you taking your take on this issue about Messi Amereis. He's saying that digitalization it will bring a solution. But now I wanted to know your take, you guys, because when you talk about digitalization, here, for my example now, I always deal with these guys who are KRA, and you know the story of how people evade these taxes, whereby somebody amenunua mzigo nje with a certain price, but ikija hapa now they will talk to the officer, alafu on that entry taxes inapunguzwa, somebody analipa pesa kidogo, they evade tax, alafu baadaye mzigo inatoka bila shida yote. Now how can we now stop such a scenario? Kwa sababu hapa you guys are talking about digitalization, and here is people wanatumia the same issue but they talk behind the scene na still corruption inaendelea. How can you stop this thing?
Messi or Alex?
Yeah,
You are
Alex, I
muted.
think you're mute.
Yeah,
Alex,
let
you're
me
on
say
mute.
what I know and what I've experienced on how the process works. For instance, during the time that we could send our cars back home, the left hands, it was very simple. I'll go to DMV, driver motor vehicle, and I will ask the book value of the car. Okay? And they will give me the book value. If it's a clean title that car has never had an accident, I'll be given and I'll go to the bank and the bank will give me a quote. Or there was a company, and even still in Kenya, there are companies that gives you a book value of a car. Okay? The mileage has not been tampered, everything is right. Now, if it's a salvage title, that car maybe ilikuwa imekuwa hit nyuma ama ni mbele, whatever, they will tell you everything. And they will tell you the mileage and they will give you the records for everything that was done in that car. Why? Because every time you go to do your oil change, they will know that you were late, you came earlier, ABCD. So the car you are buying, because of digitalization, every record of that car has been kept for the last 20 years. Now, we have a cap of 7 years, or now they are putting 5 years. So by the time most of our cars come from Japan, it gets there, you know the book value. Okay? Once it gets there, you must pay taxes based on the book value ASAP through e-citizen. And by then, you should get a text back to your phone giving you another code that is authorized with a different company that is not within the premises of Kenya Ports Authority. And then there should be another service that transport the vehicles that the money has been paid to a different place where that now you can come pick your car with the identification of everything, maybe with a lawyer also. So the problem we are having is this. Our Minister for Labor, whoever he is, I don't know. The last Minister for Labor that I knew that was doing his work very well was Newton Kulundu. That was in the 90s. The man who shut up some American embassy. There's something called division of labor. The division of labor, you don't just bring goods from Japan and just go yourself and pick it up. There is a process of how to create employment. Okay? And that is what we miss in Kenya. So if done rightly, Mr. G, it can succeed. The problem is we don't have the goodwill to do the right things. And I said, we must start doing things right. If you see how this country functions, I will send just something for you that now the artificial intelligence is doing in China. If it's a park walk, the zebra crossing, as you call it in Kenya, and you walk past it and it did not give you the sign of human walking, your eyeballs, your blood type, and everything has been taken. And there's something called social credit. Unasikia? Sio financial credit. There's something called social credit. When you do such kind of things, when you go to supermarket, you are not allowed to go there. When you go to the library, you are not allowed to go there. When you go to some toilets, you are not allowed to go there. So you must take care of your social credit to a point that ukisikia kwenda choo JEC sahi, utaenda hapo ukatashwe, your social credit is not good. Where are you gonna go? Obviously, you're going to go somewhere and your social credit is going to decrease. And that is the problem that we have in our country, that you can see a stop sign. You see, some of us jitter when we go back home and you're driving and somebody's behind your car, anakula ndizi, akishamaliza ametupa nje. Because of the good manners we have had here. Sometimes tunashukuru, why are you doing? Yeye anashangaa, what have I done wrong? Yeye ametupa maganda kutoka kwa gari nje. Unamuuliza, why are you doing that? Yeye anakuuliza, what did I do wrong? But in the end of the day, if you go after 3 days and you see in the eye, especially in the highways, super highways, after 3 days, ukiona uchafu iko huko katikati, that garbage is too much. It because our social capital behavior is wanting. And some of these things cannot be legislated. It's like you go to the bathroom, somebody tells you you must wipe your ass. I mean, that's nonsense. You know your responsibility. So we are not going to legislate such kind of things. Let Kenyans know that if they want a better country, they must behave rightly. Otherwise, if they can't, let them not start going to the Western countries and start saying, oh, their countries are good. You can make your country better. I've been to Kigali several times. They've made their country better in a matter of 10 years. So part of it is we as a people, we cannot keep on blaming the government and also blaming others. But if you want us to go to China style, we can go, whereby the social credits are there. But as Kenya reached that point, no, if we are not able to take care of our finances rightly, and if you look at even in the Bible, and I'd never like using the Bible as a way to talk to other people because we have many religions. Christ talked about money than any other thing, even including salvation, because money is a medium of communication, it's a medium of exchange of goods and services, it's a medium of interaction, it's a medium of relationships. So if we rightly use our money, then Jex itakuja kwako hapo mahali street iko hapo nje, tutapata kuna garbage bag, kuna mahali utaendesha baiskeli yako, kuna mahali watoto watacheza. We used to have those things when we were growing up. All parks have been taken. Why? Because greediness. So it's beyond the money. It is just corruption has affected the social fabric to the core. I'll leave it there.
All right. Okay, guys, we are nearing wrapping up. Mr. Messi, do you have something to add before I even begin to give you guys a closing remarks
Yeah,
based on
for
something
sure.
I'm about to play?
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to compliment what my brother Alex has said. And it's interesting. In 2013, I, I studied something called legal geography. Legal geography is the utilization and planning of spaces. Every space that you see in North America or these developed countries is well calculated and regulated, that uh, you cannot use the space for a purpose that was not intended for it. Now, if you look at the way the road is made, the curb and the pedestrian walk, the bike lane, it's well organized in the sense that they have calculated the safety, the cost, and everything. That's what we need to do now in Kenya. Most of these accidents that happen in Kenya, they are actually accidents that can be prevented because if they factor in legal geography, they utilize every space. Is engineered. You engineer the space. The space is planned before executed. So that is what we are lacking. And sometimes I feel that sometimes we come and argue. There are times I've come just to defend William Ruto, because not because he's a good guy, but I just want to be on the other side to keep the debate going. And there are times I believe there are people who have come here to support Raila Odinga just to keep the conversation going. And for maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, they feel that he's probably 7, 8 there, and maybe William Ruto is 3 or 4 there. So what I have realized over a period of time is that regulation helps to manage crime, enforces, helps to manage our behavior, and that is why, like for example, there's trucks, those especially here in North America. The trucking industry is one of the industries that makes money, and but it's very highly regulated. You can want to drive throughout, keep going, ukule miraa yako, ufanye nini, but still it's highly regulated. Ukienda beyond, I'm sure the truck will shut down. That's why they have truck stops, and in those truck stops wamejenga vizuri, wakaeka bathroom, wakaeka choo, wakaeka hata wifi in other places that actually will encourage you to stop there. There's a place where you can, coffee store, and also there is a place where a scale, it's a wireless, there's a way they call it, it's wireless, or it's an unmanned scale. You go there, the system will take the measurement, so nobody's there, everything is digitalized, and it works. Why can't we do it in Kenya? The reason why I argue this way is that sometimes we have leaders who are technologically challenged. Like now we have artificial intelligence. Now, when we are forming our policies, how and who is going to teach Raila Odinga to understand how artificial intelligence works, right? So that is why we need people around Raila Odinga to be very smart and well organized, to be able to be ahead and build the system and build a good understanding, so that even if he comes to speak about it, it's already well structured. Now, I heard a lot of people, and Alex, we might have been on a different divide when it was about the election and about when we were talking about servers. I have an IT background. I have certification in server system administration, server management, and all that, application access management, user management, access management, application access management, and so forth. Now, I understand what encryption means, methods of encryption, and all that. And when we were listening to the arguments in court, most of these lawyers don't understand what now we call intellectual property. How now, when we were even arguing about Camargo, the names of Camargo and all that, sometimes we were arguing because we just want to argue. But the truth is, Mr. G, when you send a picture, when you scan a picture has to be in a certain format, maybe JPEG, maybe PDF, maybe TIFF or so. Now, to send that, when you send the document, it has to be encrypted, for example, so that when anyone who is doing phishing and listening in the server to be able to pick data or pick information, when the document is going by, it's encrypted, and when it's encrypted, it's not readable. So now I was listening, and when I was listening to the arguments, I was really I was fatigued and intrigued at the same time by the explanations that were given in court. I realized that a lot of people were just arguing because they just think a server they don't understand how a server works. Now, we have 8 million or 7 million votes, presidential votes coming in. How do you decrypt? How do you encrypt? Okay. And then somewhere you tap the information, decrypt it, read it. Okay. And after reading it, manipulate it, and then put it back on the system to be displayed at the National Tallying Center. Okay. It's almost impossible. I have been at the ballot box, and I understood that at the ballot box, the election is stolen at the ballot at the polling station. So, and William Ruto was smart about this. And the people around Raila Amolo Odinga, the people like Junet Mohammed, failed Baba. Baba would have won, but also the people around him have not done him justice to win. They always tell him, they have always inculcated in him a mindset that we will storm if we are not going to be declared the winner. We will storm. But what have you done to make sure that election has not been stolen? We were told of agents and A, B, C, D, and I can tell you, even your own agents, Alex, my own agent asked me to leave the polling station that I put him to be there to represent me. He was very, he was very angry to see me come there, and I realized that I cannot argue with him. All I said is that I took someone else and said, I appoint you to be the agent as of now. Going forward, I do not want this person to represent me, because as an aspirant or as a candidate, you have a right to go to every stream. So if your own person mmekula na yeye jana usiku na anakugeuka na umempatia pesa, na especially this one was painful that I was paying school fees for this woman for her kids, but again on that material day akaniruka. What about the president who is up there, who doesn't know who is voting for him and who is voting for him, depending on royalty and the connection down? So that's why we are saying sometimes, just like corporate environments, we need to be sending these politicians for trainings. So after every three months, we need to send them for trainings. We teach them computers, basic computer understanding, so that they can understand and governance, policy making, policy review. When was the last time, Alex, you saw a policy review in Kenya? Most policies are were designed in 1963, since we got independence, and no one has dared to come and review and critique the policy for efficiency, because a policy has to be evaluated to see whether it is giving or working as intended. Is it giving the results that was intended? If it's not, then we must critique and review it and make the changes where it's not functioning, or we decommission it. So those are some of the things, Jex, that we need. As much as we ask or we think our politicians are informed, they might be informed in other areas, but they also need to learn other areas so that they can be current, and so that, because the world is changing. I'm telling you, when I was sometimes back, I remember I could put down the printer, everything aside, and build it back. Nowadays, everything has changed. Technology has changed. You have to specialize on one thing. So those are some of the things that we need to learn and make sure that we are growing.
But
I'm sure Mr. G have a response. I'm almost certain Mr. G has something to say.
Just a quick one. Because Mr. has raised an issue on server, and I think we need enough time to talk on this issue. But just a quick one, Mr. I don't think if I need a rebuttal. In Western Africa, we had a scenario whereby a president with the opposition leader, they had a conflict, whereby opposition leader alishinda that kura, but the president waka-announce kwa yenda ameshinda. Now what happened in Ukwa, a coup happened. The military took over that country. Alafu they went straight to Sava, wakafungua Sava. Walipofungua Sava, they got that the guy ambaye is opposition leader got more than 70%, and the president ambaye alikuwa ametangazwa got 30%. Now listen to what you have explained. I think we really need enough time to talk about this issue of Sava. Wacha tuachane na hiyo. I wanted just to bring a point there. There's a problem with this issue about tunaongelea kuhusu Sava. Don't just say maybe learning and everything.
But that is misleading. The way IBC is structured is straightforward. That maybe I don't know how theirs is structured, but ours is structured. We all know that online or returning is just a backup. Online voting is just a backup, but the really votes are the actual ballot boxes that can be retrieved, and we can take out and count them manually. So this is just a, and I've said once or twice here that in 2007, I was through Nairobi Net. We were contracted by Electoral Commission of Kenya to go across the country. I think if you guys remember, long time ago, we used to have what is called dial-up connection. Dial-up connection, you had to dial up, have a phone line, and then dial up, and then you can now connect to Outlook, only Outlook Express, Outlook mail. Then once you do that, once you finish dialing, you retrieve all the mails and then you disconnect. Now you start reading the emails. So we went all over the country. I was tasked Nyanza and part of Western and Coast. My job was to go in every electoral commission office and create dial-up connection, test it, and send a message to the head office in Nairobi that I was here, I have tested, and it's working. The intention was that after people have voted, then the polling officers and returning officers will sit down, take the photos, and send an email to the head office. This is Coast Province. We have collected 1 million votes from here, and we are returning. And here are the results from every polling station. So the issue of this portal did not start yesterday. It actually started way back prior to 2007. So, and you can see recently, it actually isn't a lot of tension. Let us also appreciate the great strides that we have made. Kofi Annan said, every every choice, our choices have consequences. All right, the consequences that there are people who have failed Baba. The truth is, like you said, someone like Abab Namwamba, who knew that Abab Namwamba would be a nuisance, who knew that people who swore allegiance to Baba would turn around and become nuisance and not propel the agenda of good democracy and good practice in our country. People, I used to admire Bob Namwamba very much as a role model, but nowadays I don't admire him anymore because I don't see he has done any work that can compel me to admire him.
All right. Okay. Now, you gentlemen, you need to give me your closing remarks even as we wrap up. But this is how I want you to help me wrap the show. Um, After the handshake and all, the country moved forward. My question to you in few seconds: how do we now move on from here? What happens? I start with you, Alex. What? How do we move on from here? What happens?
Good question. But allow me to play the devil's advocate and then at the same time be myself. Uh, as the devil's advocate, it is a resonance of 2007. What was stolen from us has been brought back home. Okay, I'm talking about the resonance, and I want to, as a disclaimer, remind my friend Misa that every political player that is formidable today was born, circumcised, and baptized, married, and retired from ODM before they went anywhere. Every formidable, from Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, when Michuki raided KTN, and Michuki said, if you rattle a snake, it will bite you. On those corridors of KTN, ODM was formed, and that was during was it Yugoslavia or some countries in the Eastern Europe that was having Orange Revolution. And out of it, Orange Revolution was formed in our country. And later on, it became a political party. And that is how it was born. Now, when you look at it, the plan of 2007 was very clear. And people don't want to talk about this openly. The dominance of wealth in one community has not been good to other communities. Were it not for devolution that has just survived a few years, almost all national schools were in Kiambu. Okay? Education was not an equalizer. All companies that were who is who in our country were in Thika, including the fishing company. All fish was taken from Lake Victoria straight to Thika. And so on and so forth. So the dominance of one community actually brought bitterness. But devolution has at least given us placebos. And placebos are fake medicines. If you go to the hospital, daktari anakupima kila kitu, anapata uko vizuri, but you believe you are sick. Wanachukua chokaa ambayo imetengenezwa kama nini, dawa wanakupea, unaenda nyumbani, unakunywa jioni, unalala, unasema I feel good. So these political placebos that you have been given by a trajectory called merging, more NDP merging with KANU, forming new KANU coalition, Raila coming together, sijui ni grand coalition, handshake. Now we don't know what you're talking. We are going through a phase that is very wrong, that in the future, the voice of the people is not going to be heard. And that is why now the key, and the more reason I supported Baba, just because of that one thing, the NADCO report. For me, the NADCO report was not about the cost of living, is to fix once and for all how we vote in this country. Either we agree that we should never vote again, or we should vote and the result should be accepted, the will of the people. And that is why when that judge loosely said that the IBC commissioner should be constituted immediately, I never see a lawyer who is putting a cape like Mr. Mr. I want you to listen carefully, because here you also are helping Kenyans. Why? Because Kenyans need solutions. And you have an opportunity to say one thing. We have said here some things and they've been enacted, actually. For instance, I kept crying about ODM should do what? Delegate, no, not only delegates, but also we should commission something called registration. And they went throughout the country because we kept on crying. And on here, if the issue, if we elude ourselves and we are not able to resolve the issue of IEBC, by not changing names, by overhauling the whole system and accepting the will of the people, the same way Yaya Jame did, or we go back to what we did 1997, which was IPPG, and you should be the one who knows that better than us, because for us, we can come here and talk about other issues that we are not privy of. But for you, at least, your profession allows you to know more than us. If through the NATCO report, which was agreed by Chungwa and Musyoka, that we must fix our voting system, if we are not able to do that, or we are not able to do that as a country, I think then we've gone back to even more dark days. I'll go back to what Mandela said. Every generation has its duty to perform, and after it has performed, the rest is domicile. They should leave the stage and know that it's dusted. It is the last chance for Raila to sit down and Ruto and fix a system that hasn't been working for many, many years. Jakes, you should know one thing. This thing called, I don't know why the name has gone out, where we go, census. Census in Kenya has been skewed to a point that people think that Kiambu is the largest county in the whole country, whereas it is Kakamega. You find that Moyale has more people than Nyamira County. And then you ask yourself, when it comes to a topic called population explosion, they say Kisses are the most fertile people in the world. Don't even try once, they'll get twins. And then because of that manipulation of census, we don't really know. There was a case in time, one boy had 8 IDs from somewhere. 8. So you sit down and ask yourself, are we really serious about a process that takes us billions of money, takes time to be discussed in parliament, takes a lot of pages in the newspaper, takes us a lot of time here to discuss, and then yet it can't be fixed over the years, even with the progressive constitution that we are being told it is progressive. All these things can be good in paper. All these quotes can be good, but implementation is the matter. If we cannot implement them and allow them to work, then at least we are making injustice. To the credit of Yaya Jammeh from the Gambia, he made a mistake, and because he thought he was loved, he was in delusion, but he created a system that you can never lie in election. And that system took him out because in his delusion, compounded delusion, he thought he was going to win the election. But what happened? That system kicked him out. And that is how 2002 happened. Even though we were many, we formed a very good coalition. But the IPPG was part and parcel of what really helped us. This country needs leaders, not brokers. We are in a situation right now, especially in my county, I'll speak for my county, whereby there's no progress that is going on. Two boys have decided to fight, and nothing is going on now. We have two sectors of what? Majambazi fighting each other in the town now, whereas we were the most peaceful. And these things are going to be exported to other counties, unfortunately. So, as we talk about election, we must also talk about the accountability of once somebody acts the same way is demanding that let Ruto do his work for 5 years, also governors must do, so that when they get to 2 years and we see that, oh, the recall thing is put on, then we can recall them. But otherwise, we can't keep on saying that, oh, Ruto is the president from where? How did he become? He grabbed the power. So if we have
All
a
right.
chance for us to go to parliament and fix it, let us fix it rightly. But from where I look at, if Papa Roma is the one who is going to sit there to fix that issue of IBC, we will never be able to fix it. And therefore, this thing eludes us and goes to another generation, which will be worse for us. Thank you.
Fantastic. Mr. G, your closing remarks. Where do we move from here?
I will just agree with what Alex has said, because currently the situation that is happening in our country, I think we may lose that focus and that sight about what we expect. Because when going back to the coalition between the handshake between Uhuru and Raila, it was to fix the electoral injustice about got napitia for a very long time. But there was a propaganda with this current president ambaye ililetwa mpaka ikaonekana kuwa it was not also to fix that issue, it was just for their own gain, na ikawa imeharibu everything ambayo is coming to help our country, because I believe that in fact kama ile issue ya BBI ingepita, we have a lot of benefit about tungepata, but it was just washed away because of the propaganda ya huyu jamaa ambaye anaitwa Ruto. Now, leaving that apart because it's by policy remarks, I think there's something that we have talked about on that issue of corruption. I just agree with you guys that is very true. We really need true leaders, people who can stand with the truth, and that's why we need to go back to the accurate view of our own ability, what we can do to help our people, to help Kenya to come out with this operation that we are in like at the moment. Because we have always depended on the issue of confidence. Somebody anatoa more over confidence and then they mistake it with being competent. That's why kama ile example ambao Alex amepeana, you find that driver is a drunkard, is really drunk, but anaenda kwa barabara, anaendesha gari because of that overconfidence in him. Sasa anafikiria he still make things work, but ukweli ni kuwa he cannot make things work. So we need just to go back as people of Kenya, as leaders, to go and find people who can stand with the truth. Hii mambo ya corruption itoke kwetu. Kama ni Uhuru, kama ni Ruto na Raila wanakutana for a certain cause, it is a cause that will help our people in our country. That will be able to stand, kama IBC ambao tumeongelea na ambao Alex ameongelea. We have commissioners ambao will stand with the truth. Kwa mambo ya saba ambao Mr. Mongea, Saba has a lot of issues your story. So that's why I said we need a lifetime to talk about this issue. Now this thing, it was evidence wakati issue ya South Africa, ya West Africa imeonekana, somebody anapata the right words, ukienda kwa sababu anapata, but on the real ground ana mtu mwingine ndo anapewa. Sisi hapa in Kenya tulikuwa tunaitisha server ifunguliwe tujue ukweli, walikataa kufungua server, so we cannot propagate on that thing. Let's leave it alone, tutapata enough time on another day and discuss about this thing. But the bottom line ilikuwa we really need leaders ambao wanaweza kusaidia Kenya. There's a lot of hypocrisy and there's a lot of confusion ambayo inaendelea kwa leaders, even not only in Kenya but in the whole world, but more so in Kenya, kwa sababu corruption is still more in our country. You know, let me just finish my story, just a short story from the book of Maccabee. You know, ile time ya Alexander the Sixth, kulikuwa na a young guy, he's an orphan, ilikuwa orphan, aliwacha na akiwa miaka kidogo sana. That guy alikuwa anaitwa Oliverato, sijui kama mnajua huyo jamaa. Oliverato is a guy ambaye aliwacha akiwa orphan miaka kidogo sana pale wakati wa Alexander the Sixth. But what happened, huyu jamaa alikuzwa na anko yake ambaye alikuwa anaitwa Giovanni. Alafu wakati alikuwa anakuzwa, Giovanni aliongea na jamaa ambaye anaitwa Paulo Vitelli, ambaye alikuwa alimpeleka kwa military ajifunze at least apate skills kwa hiyo kazi, hiyo military nini. Wakati alipata that skills, you know what happened, the guy alisema wakati alikuwa anasaidiwa, alikuwa ametoka kwa ile country yake mahali alikuwa amepeleka to another country, another area mbali na town yake. So wakati ameshakuwa mtu mkubwa, he wrote a letter to Giovanni akamwambia, I'm coming back home, nataka unitengenezee karamu ile, yani I'm coming back home, so we need at least we need celebrate, nahitaji what we call celebration kidogo tu. You know what happened? Giovanni is his uncle. Akamwambia, now because my cousin is coming, wacha mimi plan. Akaamua kuplan a good ceremony. Akanunua vitu, akaongea na watu wake. In fact akaambia watu wangu wakuja nikaribisha kwa sababu pia nakuja na wageni. Jamaa went. Hiyo siku ilipofika, Giovanni akatengeneza karamu nzuri, akachukua watu wake, akawapeleka ku receive his guy ambaye his cousin. Wakati Elizabeth alifika, walienda wakaketi, wakakunywa, wakakula, wakapiga story, lakini sasa wakati alikuwa ameshashiba, the same guy ambaye anaongelea ambaye ni Elizabeth, kumbuka huyu Giovanni ni anke yake. Jamaa ameshashiba, anakaa chini, anaanza kupiga story ya Alexander the Sixth, akaanza kuongea how the guy was, leadership yake ilikuwa mzuri, kumbe he had a hidden agenda. You see, sasa wakati anaanza kuongea, Giovanni akakuja, akaanza pia kuchangia na watu wengine. The skinny part ni pale sasa Oliverata akasimama akasema, no, we should not talk about this issue sahi, tusiongee kuhusu hii story sahi, let's go and talk this issue on a private area, twende kwa room where is a private, kwa sababu tukiongea publicly we can discuss this thing. Kumbe he had a mission to kill these people just to take over that land, to take over the leadership of that place. Giovanni akakubali kwa sababu Giovanni alikuwa ni anke yake, akasema basi wacha twende kwa private place tuongee. Wakati wameingia, even before sitting down, jamaa akatokezea from nowhere, wakawaua wote mpaka akaua anke yake, just because of leadership, the greedy and the cunning story. What am I trying to say? Hii kitu kwa ni that game, and we just need people, and we need a time ambayo itaweza fika whereby we will find leaders ambao wako truthful, watu ambao wataweza simama na ukweli, watu ambao wataweza kutufaitia kiukweli, si propaganda and corruption ambayo inaendelea with these cunning stories ambazo zinaendelea kila wakati. Elvarata killed his cousin, his uncle ambao ni Giovanni because of leadership. Wakati anamuua akakimbia, saa hiyo wamepanda kwa farasi na watu wake wanaenda kwa governor, wanamthreaten, akaamua kujimake the prince of that place. Alikumbuka it is his cousin ambaye ameua, his uncle ambaye ameua, just because he want to be a king, he want to be a prince. Back to you, Mr. Jakes.
All right, Messi, you get to take this home.
Before Messi says, sorry, I usually don't like giving a rejoinder, especially when you're giving a finishing remark. But let us remind Kenyans this way. It is bound to happen. It has happened. Denialism is the worst thing when it comes to politics. When you're stuck somewhere and you're thinking otherwise, you become an impediment to progress. In every situation, however bad it is, you must ask yourself what good should come out of it. Let me repeat for the benefit of a country. However bad, or they say these checks that however poor you are, there is always something you can give, even if it's a heart. So the question now lies here. We are in such a bad situation, especially for those of us, and Miss has rightly said so. We did not protect the votes, which means, according to him and according to us, that there was a problem with what? Our voting. Now, these two people have agreed to come together. It will be important also for us to come together and give them an assignment. Otherwise, if we pull at the side, this side, and this side, and this side, and this side, I think it is us to blame. I've seen people blame Raila. I've seen people blame Ruto. But if without a decisive unity, I guess the one good thing that we should have taken out of this is going to elude us. And we are going to squander the opportunity that we also squandered during Uhuru's time. I tell you, we could have gotten the best, but still we have gotten another opportunity. What good can come out of this? The one good thing that come out of it. Is it the PBI? Is it to do my number? It's what, because every generation has one thing to give out, and after that, it has to go. So as I say this, I want us, Misa, to tell us what good should come out of this without taking sides as a Kenyan, knowing the current living condition. Thank you.
All right, Misa, you get to have the final say. Unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, so I just don't have a lot to say. I think we've had a great conversation and open-minded conversation. This was great, and I really appreciate the fact that we accommodated opinions because because we are sober and we love our country. People like you and me spend our own resources to talk about our country, but even those who are paid by us as taxpayers don't even spend time to talk about our country. So I want to say that I'm grateful to be part of this team that takes their free time to sit here. It's not easy to sit here and talk about our country. It's important. That is a sign of patriotism. At the same time, before I leave, I was doing a quick research to ensure that I leave Mr. G with something to look after this. Um, I wanted to say that there's something that Alex in his presentation he gave, and he says that what you see is not what you're seeing, or is not what is happening, which is called a decoy. We are given a decoy. We are following something we think, and we are excited about certain things that we don't that the politicians wants us to see. So we have to be very careful that we don't become victims of decoys. The other thing I just wanted to emphasize to Mr. G about the server: do not be do not be deceived. The server works in a certain way that we have to agree. A server si mbaya. A server stores only what is given and how it's operated. So I looked at information security, and there are like four types of information security. There's network security, there's application security, endpoint security, and data security. These are layers of security that actually exist and in the server. So how you serve the server, how you use the server is up to you. And that's why I saw this guy, is it an American army, who said free Palestine, and he banned himself outside the Israeli embassy. That's patriotism. When will I see Mr. G, right, going out as an admin saying, I am not going to do what you're asking me to do for the love of this country? As an admin of this ministry, I am not going to allow myself to be used to steal, to use my knowledge to steal, or to be used to as a conduit of channeling our resources to individuals' pockets. So I want to tell you that each of these, the layers that I said, they play a crucial role in protecting the valuable information. So how we use it, you sitting behind, it's just the same way. Right now, Jex, you have the control. How you want to use the control behind you is what matters. Okay? We don't have control behind us. You have the ultimate control of who you can pin on the big screen, who you can zoom out, who you can mute, unmute, and so on, or who you can allow to speak. That is what we have. So what I would emphasize that let us always remember Kenya is our country. Let us protect it. Let us treasure it, and know that we don't have any other country other than Kenya. Kenya is a beautiful country. Those of us who have lived out here long to go back to Kenya, long one day to be in a country that we have resources, if we have employment opportunities, good infrastructure, good healthcare, good security, food security, and so forth. I'll tell you, most Kenyans would definitely love to stay home, because this is where you have your relatives. This is where you were born, left, right. My kids tell me that I belong to Kenya because that's where I was born. For them, they were born here. So this is where they call home. This is where they know every route. But I also believe that where we are born, we should treasure it. And we can only treasure it. And Alex, let me tell you something. When I didn't know this, and it took me time. I have a resort in Nyamira now. If you are in Kisii or you want to go to a place, I have a resort. Interestingly, many people never wanted to go to Nyamira, actually. Nowadays, I see people coming from Kericho, Kisumu, Kisii. They come to the resort. It's called the Village Resort. And guess what? They like it because people who live in Kisii, they are tired with the Kisii environment. So they want an alternative. So also those of us who are out here like Mr. G, go utilize. Some of us go back home and build huge houses, and we don't go back there. Go utilize that space back home. Put something. That something will create employment. That something will elevate the property value of that area, and that thing will change how people think about that place. But if you're waiting for the government to do it, my friend, you'll get a root shock. And lastly, I am looking forward for one day, Alex, when the Constitution will bar the member of Parliament, the counter assembly, a member of counter assembly, and the Senate, that once they finish their term, maybe 2 terms, they should not vie for any legislative position. Because why? I realize that if you are a governor and you have stolen during your tenure, now you are going to go to Parliament. After your tenure, you will go to become a member of Parliament. Why are you going to member of Parliament? It's not that you're going to make money. You're just going there to be relevant and have protection for what you stole. So I'm looking forward that one day these people will change the Constitution, not to allow people not to go more than 2 terms. And then imagine you finish 2 terms, like the member of Parliament, they have unlimited terms, right? The Senate, the same thing. We need to have terms so that we can also, when people serve and they leave, we can have audit so that you are not in a position to influence anything. For example, if you were to follow someone who was a senator, now is a member of Parliament, then it becomes very difficult because he's still connected and is in the government. So it is very difficult to hold him accountable. So I think that is a loophole that the Constitution did not envision. The spirit was to actually allow people look for express and look for employment opportunities. And I believe that once we fix that, we will also limit corruption. Thank you very much, Jex. But for the server, I think you need to bring us back here. I know that's why he's coming back. You need to bring us back here so
I
that
will. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that.
Just,
Mr. G, we have to wrap up.
okay,
All
just
right.
a
I
minute.
mean,
if he thinks that I
all
was
right.
lying, here is a Windows server, and
No, I'm not talking about the server. I'm not talking about the server. I
no,
just wanted to comment.
here is security. So, in other words, I'm speaking from point of information when I'm explaining about the server.
Okay, we'll
All
have
right.
time. We'll have time next time. But what I wanted to say is that I'm grateful today because the way umekuja, I think you should be coming that way. Usiwe unakuja zile mambo mengine ile propaganda kitambo kitambo. Today I think I like the show and I like the way umecontribute. Ukija uwe na your mindset. Back to you, Mr. Jakes.
No,
All
Misa
right.
came with a
Now,
mission. Misa came with a mission. You know, amejaribu kuinfuse kitu ya Raila hapo na sisi tumekataa kuenda huko. He almost caught us, but you know what? We got focused.
all right.
Divert to
Thank you
Raila
very much,
several times.
gentlemen. Asanteni sana. We had Alex, we had Miss, we had Mr. G. These guys are just fantastic. But equally, we have Debbie. All right, Debbie brings you what we call health nuggets here at Kenya News Link. And gentlemen, let's listen in to her footage. This is what she prepared for us. Of course, this is her segment where she brings to us medical and health related stories. So here is Debbie with her health nugget here at Kenya News Link.
Today, we embark on a journey into the realm of nutrition, unraveling its profound impact on health and well-being. Join us as we delve into the pivotal role of nutrition therapy and the importance of seeking expert guidance from qualified dietitians. At the forefront of modern healthcare lies the integration of nutrition services, a cornerstone in the holistic approach to patient care. From managing chronic conditions to promoting overall wellness, the expertise of dietitians plays a pivotal role in guiding individuals towards optimal health outcomes. First and foremost, let's explore the realm of nutrition therapy. This specialized form of treatment focuses on utilizing food as medicine, tailoring dietary interventions to address specific health concerns. Whether it's managing diabetes, hypertension, or obesity, nutrition therapy offers personalized strategies to support patients on their journey towards improved health. Diabetic Nutrition Services consultation stands as a beacon of hope for individuals grappling with the complexities of managing blood sugar levels. Through comprehensive assessments and individualized meal planning, dietitians empower patients to make informed choices that promote glycemic control and overall well-being. Nutrition counseling and education serve as invaluable resources for those seeking to cultivate healthier lifestyles. By addressing dietary habits, nutritional deficiencies, and behavior patterns, dietitians equip individuals with the knowledge and tools needed to make sustainable changes for long-term health. Hypertension consultation forms another crucial aspect of nutrition services, offering tailored dietary recommendations to manage blood pressure and reduce cardiovascular risk. Through strategic modifications to sodium intake, fluid balance, and nutrient-rich food choices, patients can achieve better blood pressure control and improved heart health. Weight management emerges as a multifaceted endeavor encompassing dietary interventions, physical activity, and behavioral modification. Under the guidance of skilled dietitians, individuals embark on a journey towards sustainable weight loss, fostering habits that promote long-term success and overall well-being. Children's nutrition holds a special place in the realm of healthcare, laying the foundation for lifelong health and vitality. Through specialized pediatric nutrition services, Dietitians address the unique nutritional needs of growing children, fostering healthy eating habits, and supporting optimal growth and development. Lastly, nutrition supplementation serves as a valuable adjunct to dietary interventions, providing essential nutrients that may be lacking in the diet or required for specific health conditions. Under the guidance of dietitians, patients can navigate the complex landscape of supplements, ensuring safe and effective integration into their overall wellness regimen. As we conclude our exploration into the vital role of nutrition services, I encourage you to prioritize your health and well-being by seeking guidance from qualified dietitians. Remember, your journey towards optimal health begins with informed choices and expert support. Stay tuned for more insightful content from Medifort Hospital Limited, where your health.
All right, so that is Debbie. You'll always find her here at Kenya News Link. Make sure you subscribe and get more of her content here at Kenya News Link. And you can follow us and email us at Kenya News Link for more info and any other query that you may have. Kindly get in touch with us as well. Let us know how you'd want us to improve the show. We'll have such nuggets for you that is health nuggets that will always come here at Kenya Newslink. I really was your host, Jakes, the moderator, and I'm glad that you took part and time to watch our show, comment, and even participate in this channel. I equally want to appreciate Mr. G, and Honorable Alex for taking time to dive into issues that informed our country. This was the morning review, and as usual, we must leave you with something to really enjoy. So I'll leave you with a song, but this is what we looked at. We looked at budgeted corruption and, of course, what made the newspapers headline. So make sure you grab your Daily Nation, your Standard, your Star, whatever newspaper that really makes you happy. Make sure you grab it and enjoy more content therein. And as well, subscribe to Kenya News Link, and here you will find more than what meets the eye. Asante sana. I've been your host, Jakes, and this has been The Morning Show. Asante sana.
Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Haya sisi sote wananchi tushangilie. Kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Mwaka wa 60 umefika, tangu Kenya iwe huru. Mwaka wa 60 umefika, tangu Kenya iwe huru. Haya sisi sote wananchi tushangilie. Kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Twaenda mbio, Kenya yaenda mbele. Waende kupitia